Stop looking at that cold, empty corner of your bedroom with that deep, unexplainable fear paralyzing your chest. Stop trying to ignore the sudden chill that hits the back of your neck when you walk into your living room after dark, and stop pretending that your continuous, exhausting insomnia is just the result of a stressful day at work. Hold your breath and freeze your hands exactly where they are right now, because if you make the catastrophic mistake of swiping away from this emergency transmission in the next 3 seconds, you are actively giving legal permission to the heavy, suffocating cloud of depression to completely freeze your household again tonight. This is not a random video pop-up, nor is it a piece of casual internet entertainment designed for your distraction. This is an immediate, high-priority atmospheric breakthrough warning authorized directly by the Grand Court of Heaven for your specific address. Tonight, the invisible hand of Almighty God is tracking the exact, malicious negative shadow that has been hiding behind your furniture, draining your physical energy, and systematically stealing the sleep of your family members since the year 1990. If you close this video right now, you are turning away the heavenly SWAT team sent to evict this predator, leaving your sanctuary entirely unprotected for the next ambush tomorrow morning. Look closely at the invisible pattern of torment that has been quietly operating within the walls of your home for years. You have noticed how a heavy, unexplainable cloud of exhaustion settles over your mind the moment you step across your property line, how petty arguments explode out of absolutely nothing between the people you love, and how your hard-earned money seems to evaporate into thin air through sudden household emergencies, unexpected medical bills, and constant financial leaks. You have blamed these occurrences on bad luck, bad timing, or shifting economics, but I am here to completely interrupt that dangerous blindness with a fierce, terrifying truth: your living space has been rigged with a hidden scarcity trap. The spiritual adversary doesn't just want to stress you out, his ultimate goal is to turn your home into a spiritual prison, ensuring that your atmosphere remains too toxic, too heavy, and too chaotic for your creative ideas, your investments, or your generational wealth to ever take root. They have spent over 3 decades using the dark corner as a command center to slow down your momentum, but tonight, the sovereign ruler of the universe has stepped directly into your hallway to forcefully terminate their lease. Do not be fooled by the familiar, quiet look of your neighborhood or the standard locks you have placed on your front door. In the United States, you are surrounded by a deeply secularized, surface-level culture that trains you to view your domestic space through a purely material lens, focusing on security cameras, home insurance, and smart alarms, while completely ignoring the fact that your home's financial and emotional climate is dictated by the spirit realm. The entities of lack do not break through your windows, they slide into your atmosphere through unhealed ancestral trauma, family words spoken in anger, and unresolved grief, settling in the corners of your rooms to act as an invisible sponge that sucks the joy and the residual wealth straight out of your life. Have you ever wondered why you feel an intense wave of panic and chest tightness right before a major financial breakthrough or a massive opportunity is supposed to finalize? That is the shadow in your room activating its freezing protocol to make you surrender your crown out of pure mental exhaustion. But tonight, the invisible hand is smashing their equipment to dust. I have seen the whispers you could not hear. I heard the spirits of chronic sabotage and domestic misery meeting in the freezing dark of the unseen world, staring directly at the layout of your bedroom. They laughed as they reviewed the history of your family line, boasting to one another, "We have successfully kept them tired, we have kept their finances restricted, and we have made sure their home never feels like a place of rest. We will launch the next wave of sickness and anxiety tonight while they sleep, and they will never have the strength to build their legacy." They had already finalized the spiritual paperwork to ensure that the year 2026 would be the most chaotic, stressful, and empty year your household has ever endured. They thought you would remain distracted, compliant, and blind forever. But the High Court of Heaven has just issued an absolute eviction decree over your property lines. The sovereign judge has traced every silent tear you've cried on your pillow. He has heard the desperate midnight prayers you thought went unnoticed, and he has ordered an immediate, full-scale celestial raid to cleanse your home from top to bottom. Stand your ground right now, lock your eyes onto this transmission, and prepare your spirit to witness the violent removal of the shadow forever. While your natural senses are trying to process the shocking revelation that a silent predator has been monitoring your private life from the dark corners of your room, a high-velocity, supernatural renovation is occurring behind the physical fabric of your reality. I am here to expose the absolute, terrifying precision of the invisible hand. Right now, as you sit under the heavy, electrified atmosphere of this emergency broadcast, Almighty God is entering into the structural foundation, the cold walls, and the very air molecules of your living space. He is not just giving you a temporary emotional relief or a brief moment of mental distraction, he is executing a permanent, cosmic atmosphere reset. Deep within the unseen dimensions of your household, the sovereign judge is physically tracking down and scrubbing away every single trace of old toxic energy, hidden curses, and spoken bad luck words that have been deeply embedded in your walls since the year 1990. The invisible hand is taking that entire negative history, the unseen baggage that caused your hard-earned money and your mental peace to suddenly vanish into thin air, and completely blocking it from your future, erecting an impenetrable safety shield around your territory. Do not be fooled by the fact that your home has felt like an emotional battleground or a financial vacuum for as long as you can remember. Those persistent patterns of unexpected breakdown, heavy arguments, and missing funds are nothing more than the residual vibrations of a demonic squatting contract that has just been violently cancelled by the highest court of heaven tonight. You have been conditioned by years of domestic struggle to believe that a house is just wood, brick, and paint, and that the heavy, suffocating mood that greets you when you walk through the door is just a normal human condition. But the invisible hand is completely interrupting that generational deception right now. The microscopic spiritual tracking devices that the enemy used to monitor your financial conversations and sabotage your sleep are being melted down by celestial fire. The walls of your house are being completely detoxified from the generational gossip, the jealousy of fake friends who stepped into your living room, and the silent envy that targeted your potential. I have seen the whispers you could not hear. I heard the spirits of domestic leakage and emotional sickness whispering through the corridors of your house, calculating exactly how to drain your stamina before you could wake up to build your business. They stood near your bed, bragging to one another, "We have successfully rigged this atmosphere. Every time they make progress, we will activate the old toxicity, we will cause a sudden physical illness or an unexplainable car breakdown, and we will make sure they waste their seed capital on fixing crises instead of building their empire." They treated your home as their legal territory, using the bitter memories of your past heartbreaks as the anchor to hold their clout in place. But the sovereign Lord of the universe has stood up on your behalf, banged his supreme gavel in the courtroom of justice, and ordered a total spatial reset. The invisible hand is pulling the poison directly out of your drywall, clearing the respiratory system of your household, and replacing the frequency of dread with an unshakable, divine tranquility. Do not get fooled into looking for a slow, natural, typical clearing of your home's energy that requires human strategies, physical moving, or interior design changes. Linear fixing is the slow, powerless protocol of the natural world, designed to keep you spending money while the root cause remains completely untouched in the dark. The atmosphere reset operates on the immediate, explosive velocity of a sovereign divine override. Tomorrow morning, when you open your eyes and take your first breath, an unprecedented physical change is going to flood your house. It will manifest as a sudden, undeniable lightness in the air, The absolute disappearance of that heavy chest tightness that usually haunts your mornings, a profound, unexplainable wave of joy moving through your children, or a sudden realization that the old anxious thoughts have completely lost their grip on your mind. This structural transformation is the materialization of the cleaned ledger of your house. The atmosphere is being forced to recognize that your property is no longer an open target for dark arrows, but an armored sanctuary of kingdom wealth. I saw the secret meetings where the spiritual gatekeepers of scarcity plan to project their final wave of chaos onto your domestic life for the year 2026. They had already arranged the next sequence of hidden leaks, domestic frictions, and mental exhaustion to ensure that you would never have the clarity to manage the massive global assets and 10x restoration that heaven is dropping into your lap. They wanted your home to remain a place of constant survival. But the invisible hand has walked straight through their energetic blockades, wiped the atmosphere clean with the blood of the ultimate covenant, and built a laser security perimeter around your home. Their legal title over your peace has been forcefully revoked. You are moving away from the position of an anxious, tired victim trying to defend a broken house, and you are stepping straight into the total, unyielding authority of the sovereign ruler of a sanctified territory. There is an absolute, unbending spiritual law operating within the highest governance of the spirit realm that decrees that whenever your household has been systematically targeted, emotionally drained, and heavily weighed down by an unexplainable cloud of domestic stress, the ultimate relief will not be a slow, difficult process of human adjustments. It will be a sudden, catastrophic explosion of supernatural restoration. The long, exhausting seasons of you lying awake in the dark, watching the shadows in your room, and drowning in a silent panic about your family's future, your leaking finances, and the heavy tension that seemed to trap everyone inside your walls have officially hit their absolute expiration date tonight. I am here to build a fierce, indestructible certainty in your soul. The entire architecture of domestic anxiety and unseen sabotage in your home is being completely demolished by the morning peace sign. Heaven has just authorized an immediate, high-velocity atmospheric and material settlement that will completely bypass every traditional timeline, every human gatekeeper, and every slow-moving rule of the natural world. God is not just throwing your household a small, temporary line of comfort. He is forcefully executing a mandatory 10x peace and blessing restoration that will instantly flood your home with unshakable calm and permanent security before the sun rises tomorrow morning. Do not be fooled by the current heaviness in your living room or the cold reality of the financial and emotional limitations that have been suffocating your family line since 1990. In the United States, you are constantly conditioned by a highly rigid, secular culture to believe that transforming your domestic atmosphere requires decades of psychological unpacking, moving to a new neighborhood, or slow earthly therapy, completely blinding you to the fact that the climate of your home is won or lost in the unseen realm. But I am here to completely interrupt that systemic brainwashing with an uncompromising, absolute prophetic mandate. The invisible hand is currently compressing decades of withheld joy, hidden protections, and unrewarded labor into a single, high-velocity spatial shift. I am delivering an explicit, time-stamped ultimatum to your spirit. Before 12 a.m. hits your clock tomorrow morning, a sovereign turning point will manifest in your immediate physical reality. You will receive an unprecedented piece of news regarding your living situation, an unexpected sign of profound quietness inside your house, an unexplainable wave of pure joy radiating from your children's faces, or a sudden text message clearing a long-standing financial burden that will leave your natural human mind completely paralyzed with shock and relief. This is the official arrival of your family's new era. I have seen the whispers you could not hear. I heard the spirits of heavy burden and chronic friction celebrating the fact that your house had been under constant atmospheric pressure. They stood over your property lines, holding up your past family arguments, your moments of quiet despair, and your financial stresses as permanent trophies of their victory. They whispered directly into your subconscious that your home would never feel like a sanctuary, that your children were destined to carry the same heavy anxieties you carried, and that your household would always live at the mercy of sudden domestic emergencies and unexpected setbacks. They set hidden traps to ensure that the exact moment your family began to experience any real harmony or financial progress, a sudden crisis or an unexplainable domestic problem would emerge from the shadows to drag your peace back to zero. But the sovereign Lord of the universe has stepped into the center of your house and shattered their plots to absolute dust. He has issued a supreme household release order, demanding an immediate, forced eviction of every toxic vibration and dark assignment hovering around your bloodline. The pure peace that was stolen from your family is being forcefully routed back to your property lines this very hour. Do not get fooled into looking for a small, ordinary domestic blessing that will only cover your immediate weekly expenses, clear a minor argument, or give your household a brief moment of breathing room. Low-level survival is the frequency of the slave, but this shift is designing the armored sanctuary. The invisible hand is dropping an overwhelming 10x peace and prosperity surplus into your custody to completely transition your status from a worried, vulnerable defender into a sovereign governor of a protected estate. The deep, heavy, ancestral trauma that has dictated your family's choices for over 3 decades, the constant fear of running out of resources, the anxiety of watching your loved ones suffer under a cloud of depression, and the dread of an unstable tomorrow, is being utterly consumed by this sudden influx of liquid joy and divine security. You are being aggressively extracted from the bracket of the worried casualty and launched directly into the position of a generational anchor. The emotional and financial damage of years is being completely undone in a single midnight hour. In the United States, you are surrounded by an artificial culture that tells you that your home life is entirely defined by your current tax bracket, your neighborhood status, and your natural security systems. But I am here to command an absolute supernatural override of that broken Babylonian protocol tonight. There is an immediate, aggressive relocation of peace and wealth happening in your atmosphere at this exact microsecond. The security, the laughter, and the massive financial breakthroughs that were legally and spiritually withheld from your household are being shaken loose by a celestial earthquake. The enemy thought he could wear your family out by extending the emotional and financial drought for years, but he did not realize that God was compressing the vital rain of your entire family's future into a single, explosive midnight cloud. That cloud is bursting over your roof before the clock strikes 12 tomorrow morning. I have seen the whispers you could not hear, and I am deleting them with a loud, terrifying roar of this divine settlement. The adversary is absolutely terrified of what is about to hit your device and your home. He knows that the moment that dynamic family news or bank alert materializes, his ability to control your household through fear, anxiety, and desperation is permanently broken. He has kept your home under pressure to keep your bloodline quiet, but by sending this morning peace sign, heaven is completely funding your family's freedom. The people who assumed your household would always struggle, who dismissed your potential, and who expected your children to fail will be left completely speechless when they witness the immense, unexplainable sovereign surplus of love, safety, and wealth that now covers your territory. They will look for a natural explanation, but there is no logic here, there is only the supreme authority of the King. Do not be fooled. This is the definitive turning point of your domestic existence. If you turn away from this word, you are choosing to stay bound to the slow, agonizing crawl of linear worry and passing the vulnerability down to your next generation. But if you receive this aggressive restoration, you are authorizing the immediate release of the 10x payout of safety. The wall of fire is active, the enemy's assignment is cancelled, and the celestial transfer is live. The old identity of insufficiency is exiting your household forever. The absolute weight of divine protection is occupying your reality. The restoration is initiated. The codes are processing. The morning peace sign is live. You are moving from the panic of the family shortage to the dominion of the overflow. The restriction is exterminated. The protection is final. I saw the secret meetings where they planned your family's final economic and emotional ruin for the year 2026, but the invisible hand has already reversed the flow of the entire system. The text and the energy that are arriving before 12 a.m. cannot be blocked, cannot be reversed, and cannot be delayed by any human or demonic force. You are moving from empty-handed worry to permanent, unshakable household abundance. The alert is coming. Your home is unlocked. Your 10x protected family air is live. We have reached the absolute, dangerous flashpoint of this entire atmospheric purification mission, the exact tactical threshold where the complete liberation of your domestic space must be locked directly into your physical reality. You have felt the raw shock of the shadow in the room. You have witnessed the atmosphere reset vaporize the ancient residue of curses inside your drywall, and you have stood under the roaring downpour of the morning peace sign as the 10x tranquility surplus was redirected straight into your home. But I am here to deliver an uncompromising, urgent sovereign ultimatum. In the high court of heaven, there is a strict, unyielding law of spiritual execution. A cosmic biological and spatial relocation of a household requires the physical confirmation of the designated chain breaker. The massive ancestral records have been entirely cleansed on your behalf, and your property lines have been cleared of the enemy's hidden tracking devices, but the final activation of this spatial boundary demands your immediate kinetic consent, to permanently lock down the enemy's terminal weapons and prevent them from launching a vengeful, sudden counterattack against your bed tonight. You must execute this eviction decree command. Do not be fooled by the deceptive silence of the room you are sitting in or the seemingly mundane act of typing on a digital screen. In the United States, you are constantly surrounded by a deeply secular, surface-level culture that treats words as disposable vibrations and digital commitments as meaningless text, completely blinding you to the fact that your material and domestic destiny is secured in the unseen realm. But I am here to completely interrupt that modern blindness. Your digital response right now is not a casual engagement metric for an internet platform. It is your official spiritual signature on the celestial manifest of permanent household cleansing and safety. Right now, the invisible hand is standing over the central master console of your home's destiny, his finger hovering directly over the final release button. But the supreme authorization is currently paused. He is waiting for you to legally step forward and confirm your identity as the authorized guardian of your house. If you remain a silent, hesitant observer out of sheer carelessness or doubt, you are effectively signaling to the heavenly recorders that you accept the terms of the old oppression. You are letting your silence act as a legal waiver, allowing the spirits of lack and depression to reoccupy your home. I have seen the whispers you could not hear. I heard the spirits of heavy burden and chronic friction gathering in a desperate, frantic circle at the very perimeter of your property lines. They are staring at your fingers on your device at this very split second. They are desperately whispering doubt into the atmosphere, praying that you will hesitate, praying that you will feel too cynical, too prideful, or too embarrassed to type your decree. They know with absolute certainty that if they can keep you silent for just a few more seconds, the spiritual transfer of 10x protection will hit a catastrophic, irreversible bottleneck. Your massive household breakthrough will be marked as refused and automatically sent back to a state of permanent freeze. The enemy will instantly regain legal custody of your family's space, reactivating their chaos protocols, and leaving your loved ones trapped in the exact same cycle of exhaustion, chronic anxiety, and sudden financial emergencies that broke your ancestors since 1990. But I am commanding you to completely smash their schemes right now. I am commanding you to log your confirmation into the heavenly database by typing in the comments immediately, Shadows removed or my home is cleansed. Do not get fooled. This is the definitive fast-forward mechanism for your family's peace, stability, and wealth. The moment you type those words, you are performing an aggressive, spiritual takeover of the sanctuary that was hoarded and stolen by the forces of scarcity. You are driving a legal stake into the spiritual database and declaring to every spirit of hereditary failure, every root of marital division, and every demonic architect of sudden domestic crisis that their jurisdiction over your home is totally broken. You are trading your years of household suffering and fear of the future for his boundless, unfailing resilience. If you choose to ignore this explicit directive out of hesitation, you are choosing to wake up tomorrow morning to the exact same heaviness, the same empty energy reserves, and the same terrifying domestic tightness you have endured for months. Your miracle will remain frozen in a state of eternal suspension because the head of the house refused to sign the release form. I saw the secret meetings of the celestial registrars of life and legacy. They are standing at absolute attention right now, waiting for the frequency of your specific response. They cannot drop the millions of dollars in spiritual vitality and extended household protection into a physical frame that refuses to declare its recovery. Your written command is the active key that shatters the enemy's freezing mechanisms over your home's atmosphere. When you type shadows removed, you are completely neutralizing the financial and emotional blockades that have paralyzed your family's endurance, your mental clarity, and your long-term legacy goals. You are telling every force of external manipulation that their authority over your household timeline is entirely null and void. You are executing the sovereign decree of the king over your domestic territory. In the United States, you are trained by the secular system to operate in a spirit of absolute doubt, to wait for physical sight before you dare to speak with authority. But I am here to command a total reversal of that broken protocol tonight. In the courts of the sovereign, your decree creates the materialization, your word forces the physical property to realign. Your long-standing family panic has been a counterfeit security blanket that you have held onto out of sheer habit. Tonight, you must violently tear that blanket away. You must trade the comfortable, predictable rhythm of your struggle for the terrifying, explosive velocity of supernatural immunity. I am commanding a full-scale spiritual riot against your household status quo. Type the word. Sign the letter. Release the flood of peace over your living room. I have seen the whispers you could not hear, and I am deleting them right now with the roaring sound of this sudden release. The adversary is absolutely terrified of what happens when your fingers touch that keyboard. He knows that the moment you enter your code into the registry, his legal right to hold your family's peace hostage is completely terminated. He has kept your household weak and worried for decades for one reason: to keep your mouth closed and your focus off your ultimate destiny. By publicly writing "My home is cleansed," you are officially taking your seat as a chief administrator of the kingdom's protection. You are forcing your family's file out of the enemy's execution center and triggering an instantaneous distribution of safety and life force. Do not be fooled. The invisible hand will never force his abundance into a home that remains silent and unaligned. He requires your active confirmation to drop the health and wealth of the Creator into your lap. This text is your literal digital passcode. Without it, the morning peace sign remains a distant possibility rather than an immediate possession. But with it, the transfer becomes completely unstoppable. The release becomes irreversible. The safety becomes manifest. I saw the secret meetings of the registrars of glory. They are updating your family's bank balances and protection logs the very microsecond you execute this command. They are clearing the red ink of your family's struggles and inputting the massive sovereign surplus. You are moving from the panic of the ticking watch to the dominion of the master. The old frequency of decay is dead the moment you authorize its exit. The immense vault of life is lived the moment you claim its contents. The command is issued. The registry is open. The pen is in your hands. Do not hesitate for a single second. Do not negotiate with your past domestic trials. Shadows removed, type it with the heavy authority of a ruler. My home is cleansed, write it with the absolute certainty of an owner. You are entering the sanctuary of the fully shielded. The invisible hand has pre-approved the payout of peace, now you must finalize the delivery. I have seen the whispers you could not hear, and I am deleting them with the pulse of the eternal covenant. The freeze is broken. The sovereign vault of longevity and protection is open. You are safe in the authorization of the Almighty. You are secure in the treasury of the King. The vulnerability is exiting. The overflow of God is occupying your home. The confirmation is final. The toxic residue that clung to the dry walls of your home has been completely neutralized. The ancient, heavy ledger that permitted the spirits of scarcity, sleeplessness, and unexplainable exhaustion to haunt your address since 1990 has been violently thrown into the blazing fires of the celestial court. Your exact physical residence has been marked in the golden registry as a fully cleared, hyper-defended territory. As I look at you right now through the scanning lens of the spirit realm, the drained, anxious casualty who opened this broadcast carrying a heavy dread of the shadows no longer exists. You have been entirely restructured at the deepest layer of your spiritual identity. You are no longer a vulnerable target trying to survive the night, you are the sovereign guardian of a cleansed altar. But hear me with absolute, chilling clarity, and let a holy, trembling terror seize your entire soul before this transmission cuts off forever. A newly purified atmosphere and a freshly sealed home are the primary targets for a catastrophic, vengeful counterattack from the entities of darkness. You are entering the definitive phase of the finality, and your assignment right now is the ruthless, unyielding lockdown of your property lines. Welcome to the holy boundary. Do not be fooled into thinking that the shadow will simply pack its bags and let you sleep in perfect, uninterrupted tranquility without launching a desperate, violent raid to reclaim its command center behind your bed. In the United States, you are surrounded by a shallow, hyper-secularized culture that treats words as disposable noise, encouraging you to feel a brief emotional high and then carelessly walk away. But I am here to interrupt that fatal negligence with a severe, chilling warning. The exact microsecond this video ends and your screen goes dark, the spirits of domestic sabotage are going to deploy their most vicious trackers to locate your coordinates. They are waiting for you to drop your guard. They are praying that you treat this historic spatial purification as a common internet video rather than an eternal, life and death covenant. I am commanding you to immediately build your protection circle. This circle, this absolute, unyielding commitment to lock your household into this sanctuary by hitting that subscribe button right now, is not a casual media option, it is your literal spiritual security lock over your home's new peace and prosperity. If you choose to walk away from this altar thinking you can maintain this massive new velocity of protection on your own, you are signing a legal warrant for your own household's sudden reinfestation. The moment you disconnect from this continuous broadcast and remain unsubscribed, the boundary falls. The enemy will see your property completely uncovered, and he will immediately launch a ruthless, retaliatory spiritual attack against your mind and your family's fortune. They will hack straight back into your kismet, reintroduce the unexplainable financial leaks, trigger sudden friction in your marriage, and shrink your life right back into the same miserable cage of domestic survival your ancestors spent decades crying inside of. You will find yourself right back where you started, watching your hard-earned cash disappear into emergencies, watching the heavy clouds settle back over your living room, and lying awake at midnight staring at the same dark corner in total despair. I have seen the whispers you could not hear. I see the thieves of peace standing at the very borders of your house at this microsecond, watching your finger on your device. They are counting on your pride. They are betting everything that you will be too distracted, too lazy, or too careless to lock your subscription into this fortress. And hear me closely, it breaks my heart to deliver this truth, but your negligence in this final hour does not just ruin your personal future, it deeply, profoundly grieves the heart of Almighty God. It causes the Creator of the universe to weep over your life out of sheer sorrow for your carelessness. Think of the agonizing, staggering cost that was paid to clean the atmosphere of your house tonight. Think of the man of sorrows, Jesus Christ, hanging on a brutal wooden cross, his body stripped completely naked, his flesh torn to pieces, crying out in absolute agony as he took the full, crushing weight of your generational curses, your family's poverty, and your sleepless nights into his own innocent soul. He allowed his own heart to rupture and his own blood to pour onto the dirt so that your living room could inherit an impenetrable, supernatural shield. Every single tear you have dropped since 1990 was answered when he gave up his final breath on that mountain. How dare you treat his agony like a cheap, passing entertainment clip? How can you look at the bleeding wounds of your Savior, who broke the gates of hell to clean your house, and then walk away from his fortress because you were too careless to stay connected to his altar? When you turn your back on this protection circle, you are looking directly into the weeping eyes of God and telling him that his son's sacrifice wasn't worth your commitment. You are making the Father hide his face in deep sorrow, watching his child willingly hand the keys of the newly cleansed home back to the very demons that tortured their lineage. Do not make him withdraw his hand of protection from your roof. Do not force the spirit of safety to depart from your borders because you treated his holy covenant like a common game. Do not get fooled. This is your final ultimatum. This channel is your digital altar of multi-generational momentum, the precise spiritual fuel station where you are legally required to check in every single night to receive your daily territorial updates. By hitting that subscribe button right now and activating your notification bell, you are arming the laser security system of heaven around your bank accounts, your marriage, and your destiny. You are completely vandalizing the enemy's last hope of reclaiming your peace. You are sealing the walls of the holy boundary. Hit the button. Lock the circle. Stand inside the fortress and refuse to move. Do not grieve the Father. Do not betray the Son. Stay connected, stay sovereign, and protect your home forever. The shadow is banished. The atmosphere is pure. The holy boundary is locked eternally.